how to sleep properly. These 7 tips will drastically change your life. Sleep is a genetically determined, vitally necessary condition. And when a patient comes to me and says, "Doctor, shorten my sleep time," or even not a patient, but just some businessman when I'm engaged in sleep wellness and giving lectures just for some active people, people want to sleep less, work more, and be more productive. I usually respond to this: let's breathe less then. Let's drink less water then. Let's eat less then. How will this end? Unfortunately, we will all die in the end. Without breathing for 3 minutes, without water for 7 days, and without food for 30 days. So the documented record for sleep deprivation is only 11 days. Those who claim to go without sleep for months, years, and so on are either telling tall tales or they believe it. But it's a phenomenon of sleep perception disorder. They are sleeping, but they believe they are not. In this video, you will learn what to do to sleep properly. Watch this video to the end, and in addition to the first 7 effective techniques, you will learn about 4 more super effective ones that will help you sleep even better. First, sleep mode. We are diurnal creatures. We should be active during the day and sleep at night. And most of our body's various functions are tied to the cycle of sleep and wakefulness. During the day, we expend energy. Well, we used to gather food, run after some animals, or run away from some, and at night we rested because there was nothing to do at night. It was dark, scary, and there were animals around. Unfortunately, with the advent of civilization, we have encountered a major problem of lighting, which allows us to stay awake at night instead of sleeping, and so-called circadian sleep disorders or sleep disorders associated with regime disruption arise. Well, the classic situation, we watch TV, sit on the smartphone until 3 in the morning instead of the light going out, and we fall asleep. And then naturally, we can't wake up in the morning because we sat until 3 in the morning, and we don't need to go to work early. We can sleep until 12 in the day, but one day we still need to get up earlier, and the problem arises that our circadian rhythms are disrupted. I'm not even talking about the fact that 20% of people generally work in shift work schedules. Well, that is accordingly, they are obliged to go to work at night and in the evening, and this also causes circadian sleep disruption. Still, if we talk about the regime, what it should be, it is desirable to go to bed and get up at the same time. By the way, let's say the same owls who love to sleep in on weekends then can't wake up in the morning. They say we can't get up in the morning. I suggest you set a wake-up time for yourself for 2 weeks, regardless of weekends and work days. You will find yourself waking up 5 minutes before your alarm, well rested after a good night's sleep. Because your body will adjust all its circadian rhythms to this wake-up time, and your downtime will adjust to your wake-up time. Thus, a stable regime is an extraordinarily important aspect of our health and quality sleep. There are such simple enough tips. On weekends, you should not get up later than 2 hours compared to weekdays. If later there is a so-called social jet lag, there is a change in time zones, but not associated with moving time zones during flights, but with the fact that we just banally get up at 7 in the morning on some day, at 11 on some we can sleep all day, and walk or work all night. Naturally, we have huge health problems. If you also sleep in on weekends for 2 hours or more and have problems with sleep, accordingly, give a like. And by the number of likes, I will understand how many of us people who watch this video suffer from social jet lag. Second, information detox. I always remember a 16th century English Christian, but not that I met him there on a time machine, but English scholars wrote about it. So, they wrote that a 16th century English Christian learned less news information beyond his village in his entire life than is contained in the Sunday supplement of a magazine. Moreover, imagine now you open the internet and there is a huge amount of information. What news do we have? Well, imagine you open some news channel and they write, here is good weather, here they planted flowers, here the pensioners received a lot of money, here the officials do not take bribes. That's the kind of news we have. Listen, you would fall asleep after 5 minutes of such news and the news company would go bankrupt. Here our economy is collapsing, here something is exploding, here we have tsunamis, here we have earthquakes, here are maniacs. And we are constantly living through this, that something terrible is happening somewhere. And this is a human trait, to think and experience what we call ruminations, that is, to relive. He was experiencing some kind of problem about himself, thought that it was a problem, and then constantly, like a mental chewing gum, he keeps turning it over in his head. And here are specific recommendations. First, watch the news only in the first half of the day, 15 minutes, a maximum of 30 minutes. Second, choose one information channel that you trust, not so that you looked at Telegram channels, news, something on the internet, on television and social networks, and everything is about the same and everything is terrible. Looked, made some decisions for yourself, enough. Cut down on the use of social networks altogether. There's this interesting study where they took a group of people who were actively using social networks with anxiety and depression, and some of these people were forbidden to use social networks while others continued. And so after just a week, those people who didn't use social networks started to feel much less anxiety and depression. And accordingly, they started to sleep better. All we did was take away social networks. We didn't give any tranquilizers, antidepressants, neuroleptics. So regarding gadgets, it's extremely important to put away the computer, smartphone, tablet 2 hours before sleep, and at most you can just read a book on them. But ideally, it would be preferable to have a paper book or a television. By the way, I have a mini book about stress and insomnia where I detail all the problems that cause stress and lead to insomnia, and at the same time I give step-by-step instructions on how to effectively deal with this and sleep well. In the description of this video you can find a link to this book, Hygiene of Sleep. We can have a very good day. We can provide relaxation. We can provide, let's say, pleasure throughout the day. But if we don't get pleasure from our bedroom, nothing good will come from sleep. And now I will give specific recommendations on how to improve sleep thanks to the comfort we create in the bedroom. First of all, let's start with the bed and the mattress. The bed should be wide. Actually, a standard double bed starts with a width of 140 centimeters. If 2 people are lying on it, that means each person gets 70 centimeters. That's the width of a child's bed. The neighbor is snoring, tossing, turning, and mumbling in their sleep. Accordingly, there is nothing good about it. Therefore, the bed should be wide, especially if 2 are sleeping. Even if you sleep alone, use at least a 1.5 bed, which is 120 centimeters wide. Next, mattress. Paradoxically, most Europeans and Americans prefer to sleep on mattresses of medium hardness and below, well, that is semi-soft. And most of our people sleep on semi-hard or harder mattresses. Why, would you think? We only started producing anatomical orthopedic mattresses at the end of the 90s of the last century, 20 years ago. Some serious manufacturers of comfortable mattresses have appeared. The problem is that everyone thinks that somehow harder means more beneficial. There's nothing beneficial about this. If the mattress is hard, our body has bends after all. Our body is not flat, only the spine has 4 bends. There are pressure points. When a person lies on a bed on a mattress, he should be even on one side. And I will say that any anatomical orthopedic mattress up to a weight of 120 kilograms maintains an even shape. That is above. When the mass is already, yes, a harder mattress is needed. For young people weighing 50, 154 pounds, it's not necessary to choose a semi-hard or hard mattress for comfortable sleep. So if you lie on a hard base, the pressure points are affected. A person feels like they are sinking into the mattress with separate parts of their body. Bed sores can develop if a person lies immobile, such as during illness. The brain constantly signals the body to turn over when lying in the same position, causing a person to wake up more frequently at night, tossing and turning, which diminishes sleep quality. I often ask my patients, dear friends, what do you sleep on? Well, yes, of course, it's beneficial to sleep on a hard surface. Everything hurts, yet people mistakenly believe it's beneficial despite the lack of any real advantage. Interestingly, even doctors who recommend things to patients without fully grasping them and were not taught how a person should sleep are starting to say sleeping on a hard surface is somehow beneficial. This is one of the biggest myths that exists about our sleeping habits. The mattress should be such that it is flat on one side. And as I said, this is the category of semi-hard or even semi-soft or soft mattress. Here we are, sleeping on a soft bed, beautifully, despite my 80-kilogram body mass, nothing falls through. On the other hand, there should be no feeling of pressure points, that is, so that the body does not touch literally a few points, and then when you lie in bed, you feel like you are floating. Even if you fall asleep, without pressure points, you can sleep in one position for a long time without your body signaling you to toss and turn, despite lying down for a while. Here's a life hack about the mattress. It's also an interesting situation that the mattress and pillow, they work as a tandem. If you chose a pillow with the same firmness as the mattress and then sleep on a mattress of a different firmness, the pillow might not be suitable. Why? But if it's a firm mattress and you sleep on your side, your shoulder doesn't sink into the mattress and you need a thicker pillow. And if you have a softer mattress and the shoulder has sunk into the mattress, you need a thicker pillow. That's why, by the way, in serious stores that sell mattresses, pillows, for example, or other manufacturers, they always have at least 3 to 4 mattresses of different firmness in the pillow selection area. And you should choose a pillow exactly at the firmness of the mattress that you have at home. Then you will choose the right pillow. And it's also extremely important to measure. To choose shoes, go to the store and have your feet measured. And there might be some super brand there, but the shoe didn't fit you and it's all uncomfortable, just like with the pillow. It can be expensive, it can be some super fancy one, but it just didn't fit you specifically in terms of thickness, density, and so on. That's it won't suit you. Go and try it on. Take a couple of hours to choose a pillow for yourself. Lie on your back, on your side, for 5 to 10 minutes on this pillow. Then choose a comfortable pillow for yourself. Regular physical exercise. It's the best antidote, anti-stress, and sleep aid, surpassing in its effect modern tranquilizers, antidepressants, neuroleptics, and sleep aids and psychotherapy. I recently released a large review, approximately 1,000 works were analyzed, in which it was shown that moderate and high-intensity physical exercise 4 times a week or more, and if it is regular over a horizon of 4 to 6 weeks or more, is even more effective in terms of treating depression and anxiety than various drugs and psychotherapy. That is the significance of the load. Why is that? The thing is, as I've already mentioned in another video, by the way, subscribe to my channel. There's a lot of useful information on this topic. You can read about how to improve your sleep. So I was saying that in response to some stress, as it used to happen, until there was abstract thinking, there was a release of stress hormones, but this was always followed by muscle work. Chase, run, fight! And as a rule, stress hormones were broken down with muscle work. This is the way it always happens in the animal world. But humans developed abstract thinking. They started to think. And the body didn't come up with any other reaction to minimal stress, to the fact that we started to worry. And it also leads to the release of stress hormones, adrenaline, noradrenaline, but there is no muscle work following. This is no longer a starting reaction, it's already a stress response. And the unpleasant action of these hormones on our nervous system, cardiovascular system, endocrine system begins. Well, it's known, by the way, such an example, yes, if you take a regular mouse or rat, they have a very good immunity. They almost do not get sick with respiratory diseases. But it is enough to put a cat in a cage next to a mouse cage for 3 days, which will try to get this mouse. In 3 days, this mouse will get sick with all sorts of respiratory diseases. That is, immunity also collapses against the background of a stressful situation. And a mass of other problems in the body occurs, and this mouse can't even run away. And we can be in this stress for months and years, but we don't run away from it, we just worry. So regular physical stress allows you to cope with all this. If we take an average healthy person, there is such a concept as training pulse. Usually it is calculated as 180 minus age, or it is also called submaximal pulse. For example, if you are 30 years old, 180 minus 30, the pulse is 150. And ideally, you would want to reach this sufficiently high pulse for at least 15 to 20 minutes a day. This will be a good load, you will get tired, sweat, and it's very good for metabolizing stress hormones. If you're out of practice, don't jump on an exercise bike and run for 20 minutes with a pulse of 150, you'll likely fall off. Well, that is, you gradually increase the level the level of load, but it will pay off. It will try, and in terms of reducing stress, anxiety, improving sleep quality. And if you can, share in the comments what you actually speaking do in terms of physical load, what workouts you have, do they help you feel better and sleep better? And maybe ask any questions on this topic and I will try to answer them as much as possible. Next, don't overeat before sleep. Digestion is typically an active process. To digest 1 gram of food, approximately half a kilocalorie is needed. And if, imagine, you ate a kilogram, well, that is, for dinner you ate first, second, third, a roll, tea, sugar, and so on, right? And with such a stomach, you go to sleep. So in order to digest this kilogram, you will need to use 500 kilocalories of your body. Have you ever looked at how your calories are spent on a bicycle ergometer or on a running track? Modern devices can display this. So, in order for me to expend 500 kilocalories, I need to run for 40 minutes at a speed of 9 kilometers per hour. That is, not that I'm sliding off the road, but in general I get up quite tired. And all this will happen at night. That is, it's an active process. It's the peristalsis of the intestines. It's the production of bile. It's the production of gastric iron. And all this, like a loaded furnace there with coal, metal, and all this is boiling, bubbling, and so on. So in the stomach, it's all the same. And of course, this increases the brain's alertness, and a person sleeps worse, wakes up more often, and this leads to the fact that sleep becomes restless, superficial, with frequent awakenings, and in the morning you wake up not having rested and not having recovered. Let me summarize and make some recommendations. Dinner should not make up more than 20% of the total food ration. You know how it is. I didn't have breakfast, I didn't have lunch. I'll eat 3 hours before sleep, but I'll eat everything I didn't eat during the day. This is also incorrect. So if you didn't have a proper breakfast, didn't have lunch, still don't overeat at dinner. Next, the food should be light enough and well cooked, because even if you're behind the wheel, it's still going to be a long digestion process. Yes, ideally you shouldn't eat for 3 hours, but for some people this causes an excessive feeling of hunger. A small snack of no more than 150-160 kilocalories is possible an hour or half an hour before sleep. Well, it's either a small sandwich or nuts or bananas or a cup of kefir. That is in general something to be in the stomach, but it was not empty enough, but at the same time not to overload it with an active digestion process. I also promised you that if the previous recommendations do not help, then I will give a few more super recommendations. But the truth is that you will have to apply some extra willpower to sleep better. First recommendation, if you've gone to bed and haven't fallen asleep within 15 minutes, don't try to keep lying down. Get up, go to another room, and don't lie down until you really want to sleep. Engage in a dull activity. Second, and this is kind of a continuation of the first, even if you lay down and couldn't sleep for some time, 15 minutes, an hour, or even 2, couldn't fall asleep, something disturbed you, there was some stress, don't change the wake-up time. A person went to bed late, fell asleep, and plans to wake up 2 hours later than usual. He got up 2 hours late and will sleep poorly the next night due to oversleeping. This doesn't significantly hinder your functioning during the following day. There might be a bit more daytime sleepiness towards the evening, but it's still fine. You'll sleep better then compared to the night when you slept poorly. And thirdly, even if you didn't get enough sleep, yes, you might feel a bit sleepy the next day. Don't cancel any work commitments, because if you cancel everything and spend the whole day sitting and suffering, thinking about how bad everything is, you'll sleep even worse the next night because you'll start to fear that the next day will be terrible. And if you do everything you've planned, meet people, conduct negotiations, meet with friends, go for a walk somewhere, do sports, you practically won't notice that you didn't get enough sleep. But by evening, you'll feel sleepy, you'll sleep well, and everything will get back to normal.